birthing from within. I'm going to do complete disclosure in the beginning and say birthing from within is one of my favorites. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't have problems. And in fact, I strongly believe that birthing from within is only appropriate for specific clients. But I enjoy it. I really enjoy it when my clients do it. And I enjoy interacting with them when they do. So let's talk a little bit about the history. It was developed by Pam England, who was a certified nurse midwife. Now, she was a midwife before she had children. So she went, when she got pregnant, she went into her childbirth thinking that, well, she knew a lot of information. She knew about relaxation. She knew about all this kind of stuff. So her birth was likely to go fine, right? Well, it didn't. Her first childbirth, her first baby ended in a cesarean section, which for her was quite traumatic. She didn't really have a way to put this in her mind because she had been taught that, right, if she just relaxed enough, if she just, followed her body, if she did all that kind of stuff, then she would end up with a lovely natural birth at home, right? She ended up transferring in and having a cesarean. While she was pregnant with her second baby, she started developing this method, and we'll talk a little bit about it, but it's kind of more about processing birth than it is, again, anything that's particularly prescriptive about what to do. So she started presenting this in Texas in 1999, and she wrote a book with a psychologist called Rob Howowitz. Sorry if I'm pronouncing his name wrong. Which is the Birthing from Within book. Now, it's also important to know that as well as the book, there is a Birthing from Within workbook. So quite often, Birthing from Within is not available, well, wasn't available in California. There is a Birthing from Within near me here now in Anchorage. But I would encourage clients who were taking other childbirth methods, especially the in-your-head kind of ones, so especially the Bradley, really, in a way, to get the Birthing from Within workbook. You can get it quite cheaply, often on Amazon, and to work through it, because it's really an in your body one. And I think that the combination of the two of them, if you've got motivated clients, is fantastic. So just a note on the philosophy, and just a note on how you can make it work in your practice. Sorry. Okay, so the philosophy is that pregnancy and birth are a rite of passage. They're not a medical event. So it's about the transformation that happens to the woman in the family in terms, in the birth. There isn't a particular outcome that Birthing from Within strives towards. So they're not looking for natural vaginal birth at the end of a Birthing from Within class, for example. You're looking to have a woman and a family or a unit that is well prepared for birth and for baby, rather than having a particular style of birth. It can be used with women who are planning to have a cesarean section, and it also has preparation for unexpected outcomes in there. So it does talk about cesarean sections and what you might use, and that's in contrast with hypnobirthing, which is the next class that I'm going to talk about. Classes are mostly based on self-discovery, so it uses art, drawing and sculpting and all sorts of different types of art in order to examine your own philosophies and what's going on in your body and your mind at the moment. If you're pregnant, or if your partner's pregnant, or if you're supporting somebody who's pregnant. It does acknowledge that some events are outside the mother's control. And this obviously came from Pam England's own experiences. And it talks about spiritual and emotional and physical power. And it uses art to do that quite often. But it's important to notice that it does talk about spiritual power. So some people struggle with it a little bit because it talks about the spirituality of the divine, not necessarily specifically Christian spirituality. So it's something just to be aware of. Obviously, every instructor is going to be different in terms of how they present that. But for me, there's a few caveats when it goes to birthing from within. I personally don't have a problem with it, but I also know that some of my clients do. So it's just something, as I said, it's something to be aware of. It's something to make sure your clients are aware of so that they're not blindsided about it when it happens. Most people, if they know that it's coming, are absolutely fine with it.